We're starting in grammar on page 67. So go ahead and turn to page 67. And we're talking about homophones. That means, so the first half of that word is homo, that means same. And then phone means sound. When that's the meaning of those two parts of the word. So basically it has the same sound, but the words are spelled differently. Okay. We have a bunch of those in English. That's why sometimes English is really hard to learn, because a lot of the words sound exactly the same, but they're spelled different and they have different meanings. So we're going to look at the end of that first paragraph right there. Two, and two. They all sound exactly the same, two, right? But they're spelled differently and they have different meanings. So to is a preposition or part of an infinitive. If you don't know what those mean yet, that's okay. We'll talk about those more as we go through the book. But just know that to is called a preposition or part of an infinitive. So here we have to the left. That part of the sentence is called a preposition. It starts with the word to the left. To escape, that's called an infinitive. Escape is something you do, right? If you're locked in the bathroom and you're trying to escape, right? And you're like, Mom, help, I can't get the door open. To escape is considered an infinitive. So to. The next one, two, is a number. The number two. Two soldiers is the number two soldiers. So two is the number. And then too is an adverb meaning also or to an excessive degree. So here, had it too. So that could be like if you had a cold or your sister had a cold or your brother had a cold and you had it too. That's what that means. TOO means like also. But here, too long, like the drive to Las Vegas was too long, right? Took too long, took like 7 hours. Okay, TOO long, that just means like excessive, like a long time, right? In this book, they made mistakes on purpose for you. Lucky you. You have to figure out where the mistakes are. And this week, you're going to notice two, the word two, is going to be wrong. And you have to figure out which one is the right way. So look at the example in the middle of your page. 2 palace guards ran up to the princess. So here we've got the wrong two, they drew a line through it and they wrote it the right way on top of it. So TWO is the number 2. 2 palace guards ran up to the princess. That's a prepositional phrase. That's a preposition. So it should just be TO. By the way, the number 2 is an adjective. So that's why they put ADJ there. Okay. Now we're going to talk about quotation marks. Those are marks that you use to show who's speaking in your story. You've probably seen them before in books and stories and stuff like that. Oh yeah, we saw it in like The Bald Man and the Fly. Remember, he's like, "Get away, fly." And he says it, right? And there's these little quotation marks around it. So here it's called a quote. I want the gold. Oh yeah, we know somebody who talked about gold. Remember King Midas? Yep. I want the gold. And then it says attribution. That word attribution means who's speaking. The princess declared. So in this story that we're working on in this book, the princess wants the gold, right? So here's the quote, I want the gold, and the attribution is the princess declared. And then skipping down here, this is how you write it. Look down here where it says attribution, comma, and then the quotation marks, and then the quote, and period, and then the end quote. So the period goes on the inside of the quote always, okay, whenever you have a period. Here, if you put the quote first, you put a comma on the inside. Quote, comma, attribution. So here we have attribution, comma, quote, period, quote, comma, attribution, period. Okay, so this is just showing you how you do the punctuation for a quote. Look down here if it's a question. Attribution is the person speaking, right? Comma, quote with a question mark inside the quotation mark. Or if it comes first, if it's a question, same thing, quote with a question mark, and then the attribution. Or if you have an exclamation mark, same thing. Attribution, comma, quote, exclamation point, or quote, exclamation point, and then the attribution. So basically, that's just saying who is saying the quote, who is the character that's saying the quote, that's the attribution, and then whatever they're saying. So sometimes you can put it on one side or the other in your stories. Look at the very, very bottom of the page, very bottom. The soldier exclaimed, the princess took it. The attribution is the soldier exclaimed. That's telling you who's speaking, okay? And then what he says, the princess took it, that is the quote. That's the difference between attribution and quote, okay? Who's saying it and then what they're saying. Do you guys have any questions about this page right here? Okay. Good. Let's go to the practice page. Luckily for us, it's a short sentence. Yay. How about, let's see, Olivia, if you're still there, can you read that for us, please?
The soldier observed the princess for too long.
Good. Okay, so our vocabulary is observed. Anybody know what that means? Observed? Observed the princess? It means like to watch. Like basically they're watching the princess, looking at her. So I don't know why the soldier was looking at her, but I guess he was watching her for, oh, probably because she's wanting to steal the gold, huh? She wanted more gold. She's a thief. We learned about that. Olivia?
Like notice?
Noticed, yes. And Olivia?
She took, well, he was saying about his never, or the gold never going away in his bag. So the princess gave the bag to someone, but now she wants the bag back. So the soldier is trying to take it from the princess.
Okay. Because I forgot. Okay, go ahead. Was there more or was that pretty much it?
That was it.
Yeah, I forgot how the story goes. I need to go back and reread the parts that you worked on during homework, but that makes more sense. So go ahead and put a check mark by vocabulary. We have two articles, but go ahead and write in a and the, and then you can find them on your own by yourself and go ahead and label those. Those are easy. And then Christopher, when you're ready, can you tell us where the nouns are?
Princess.
Good. Princess.
Soldier.
Soldier. The other one's a little tricky.
Long.
It is long. Very good. Yes. It is long. And by the way, did you guys notice TWO right here? So Lacey, is that the right word too for too long? No. How should we spell it?
T-O-O.
T-O-O. Remember how we talked about that for like your drive to Las Vegas is too long? So whatever he's doing, watching the princess, it was too long. So we can put a check mark by homophone. We jumped ahead there because we wanted to make sure to label that. Next is the prepositional phrase, but I'm going to skip that. It's easiest if you do that last. So I'm going to have Liana. Where are the verbs in this sentence? Actually, there's just one verb.
Um,
Remember, a verb is an action. Like, what is the soldier doing?
observative.
Yes, observed. That's a weird
Okay.
word. Observed. Yep, you're right. That is the verb, observed. And then Mariah, let's find the subject. Who was it that observed the princess?
Can you ask the question again?
Yes. So we're looking for the subject of the sentence. And the way to find the subject is to look at the verb and then ask yourself who. So who observed the princess? It's right before the word observed.
The soldier.
Yes, the soldier. Usually the subject is before the verb. That's your clue. So you go backwards to look for who or what. Good, Mariah. And now, Olivia, do you know where the prepositional phrase is? You're going to look for a word that does not have a label yet. There's one on there.
For too long.
There you go. For too long. So that word for is a preposition. And remember, if you need to go back to your list, remember how we made a post-it back here for your prepositions? So when you're doing your homework, if you need to go back and look at that list, you can. That's okay.
I was muted when I first said it.
Oh, okay. And then it stops on a noun. Okay, so that's another clue for you. Okay, got that. What about the capital? Christopher, what word needs to be capitalized?
The.
Good, that. And then Lacey, what do we need at the end? What's the end mark?
Period.
Good. That's it. Pretty easy lesson today. Good job, you guys. So watch out for that word too. They're going to do it wrong on purpose. And you got to figure out which one it is and fix it. Okay, let's go ahead and put the grammar away. And now we're going to get out your binders. And you guys wrote your first paragraph for The Little Red Hen. You wrote about the characters and the setting. Give me a thumbs up if you turned that in already for The Little Red Hen, the first paragraph. Good, I see those thumbs. If you have your paragraph, go ahead and get that out. If it's on the computer, don't worry about it. But if you have it, let's look at the checklist. I always do that. You guys know that now. Because this is what I'm looking for. Every time you guys turn in your homework, I go down this checklist and I go, did you remember your name and date in the upper left-hand corner? Oh, you did. Good. Yay. Check. Did you remember to double space? Good. Check. So that's how I do it. I look at your work and then I go through the list. Now, the title, you don't have a title yet because you have to wait until the very, very, very end of your story, the last sentence, in order to make a title. So if you didn't do a title yet, that's okay. That's good. You have to wait on that. Story follows sequence chart. We did part of that in class. Each paragraph contains at least 4 sentences. You got to make sure you keep with that. And then here, your dress ups. This is the biggest, most important part in my mind for this checklist. You needed 1 ly adverb, 1 who, which clause, and 1 strong verb. Give me a thumbs up if you remembered one of each of those things. Good. Good. I see that. Yay. Everybody put their thumb up. Yay. So you just did the 1 paragraph. So you're going to keep going in this story. We're going to work on the story sequence chart a little bit more today. And you're going to finish up paragraph 2 and 3 this week. but make sure you use this checklist. You have it with you when you do your homework so you can remember to have all these things on there, okay? Oh, one more thing right here, check for banned words. Did you guys remember to not use these words? Say, said, seesaw, go, or think, thought, go, went. You remembered not to use those words?
I remembered.
Good. Good. Because there's a list that we made last week for words to use instead of those words. It'll make your writing have so much more style because these words are kind of boring. So we want to stay away from the boring words and come up with more descriptive words that tell a little bit more about what's going on. So, okay. So I haven't graded your homework yet, but I will soon, and I'll put that on Google. So did anybody use this pink list for your LY adverbs? Did you guys use this? No? Some of you are like, no. Olivia? Oops, you're muted.
I couldn't find the right ly adverb to go with what my sentence was talking about, but I was trying to use it.
Okay, so how did you find one? Did you look online?
I just started thinking of words.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, if you don't like any of these, that does get hard. You have to really think about another word, but it sounds like you came up with something. How about Lacey? Did you want to say something?
I had the same problem.
Oh, you did. Okay. Yeah. Do you guys have a thesaurus? Do you know what a thesaurus is?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's like, oh, yeah. That's a great book to look for other words. So it's like a dictionary. It's really big. And it has words that are similar. So if you wanted to look up like went, you could look up WENT in a thesaurus and it'll give you ideas on other words you could use. But as far as an LY adverb, that's a little harder to think of, isn't it? Because it's not really in the thesaurus or the dictionary. I mean, it's in the dictionary, but you have to think about it first. But you could look up maybe one of these in a thesaurus, like what's another word for hopefully? Like if you see something on here that's close to what you want, but the more you use these, the easier that gets. So you'll really start using them more and more in your writing. Okay. Let's look at your story sequence chart from last week. This is where we left off last week.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to finish this today, and you're going to finish your story this week. Okay. So remember the story sequence chart, there's an order usually about how a story goes. We talked about it once for Kung Fu Panda, and I think we talked about Mario movie. So
Yeah.
there's an order that, or a sequence, that usually happens in a story. The first part is introducing the characters in the setting. Who remembers what comes next in the story? What usually happens in the middle of the story? Do you guys remember? Like, remember when we were talking about Kung Fu Panda, and then that bad guy, I think his name was Kai Lang or something like that, Kai, and he wanted to take over the city. So what do we usually talk about in the middle? Lacey?
Problem solution.
You're close. Problem. Solution comes later, but I'm looking for that word conflict/problem. But you're right, Lacey, the problem. Mariah?
Like for in the box also, it's gonna be what happened.
Good. Thank you. We're going to ask the question, what? Like, what happened? Or what does the character need? What does the character want? What's the problem, right? You got to talk about that in the middle of your story. And that's what comes next in the middle. So let's look at the Little Red Hen. We already read this story, so we don't need to read it again because I'm sure you remember how it goes. But we left off right here where she found the wheat seed, right? That's where we left off. So she found the wheat seed, and we know a little bit about each of the characters because that's, you guys introduced everybody in the beginning here. So now we're going to start talking about the problem. So let's first talk about, what does the Little Red Hen want to do with the wheat seed? What does she want to do with it? Liana, what does the Little Red Hen want to do with the seed?
She wants to make bread.
She wants to make bread. Good. So let's put LRH. Remember, that's going to stand for Little Red Hen. And she wants, or let's put wanted. We'll keep it past tense. And then put wheat, arrow over to bread. So she wants to grow the wheat so she can make bread. That's the goal, right? That's what she really, really wants, is she wants bread. And chickens do like bread. Real chickens do. It's probably not the best thing for them because they like plants mostly, and grain and stuff like that. But she wants to make bread because this is a pretend story. She's wanting to bake her own bread. I kind of wish chickens knew how to do that, because wouldn't that be nice to have somebody else bake a nice fresh loaf of bread?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
As long as she knows how to use the bathroom and not poop all over my kitchen, right? I don't want that. Chicken poop is stinky. Okay, so she's wanting to turn the wheat into bread. And this is where we really get into the problem, right? Because we got all these characters and she's thinking, this is going to be great. I have all my friends here to help me out. But
They're
what
all lazy.
happens? Yes. So who can tell me, let's talk about the, well, what does she ask everybody in the beginning? Mariah, what is she asking? Uh-oh, I can't really hear you. Say it one more time. I heard like half of that. Something's weird with your microphone for some reason.
She asked to no. So she asked, who will help me plant the seed?
Good. Okay, I heard it that time. Good. So we can put in quotes here. We can put help plant ? And then I saw Olivia's hand. Did they help her plant it, Olivia?
No.
No, of course not. They all said, not I, not I, not I. So I think because there's a lot of conversations that go on here, I think the best way to do this is, what if we go up here where the characters are? Let's circle the P for pig. Let's circle the C for cat and the R for rat, because we've got those three characters and we're going to have to try to keep them straight.
Yeah.
In this outline. So
Yeah.
now we can put P, comma, C, comma, R, and they all said no. They said not I, but we only have room for one more word, right? Because we have help and we have plant, and we only have one more room for a word here. So I'm just going to put no. So when you're writing this, you can practice using quotation marks like we learned in our grammar book. Remember, the attribution is who's speaking. So you'll say, the pig, the cat, and the rat all said, not I. Hold on. Is said a banned word? Oh, it is. Uh-oh. Said is banned. So you're going to have to think of another way to put that.
Oh yeah.
Like, what do you think, Olivia?
Yelled, not
No,
I.
not I. That's a good one. Mariah, did you? Say it again.
Like utter. She
Uttered.
uttered.
Yes, I like uttered. That's a good one too. Anybody else have an idea of something other than said? Liana?
Shouted.
Yes, shouted would be good. Yeah, because they're all kind of mean and sassy, huh? So yeah, they're like, not I. Olivia, do you think of another one?
No, I messed up on my story sequence chart, so I have to start all over again.
Oh no, what happened? Did you put it in the wrong
I wrote some things in the wrong spot.
spot? Aw. Well, maybe you can just, draw a line through it and squeeze it in. That way you don't have to write the whole thing over. But if you need to, it's okay. If that's easier.
Declare and she stated.
And stated, those are both good ideas. Good, good. Okay, you guys are on the right track. Okay, so then after she asks who will help plant the seed, then what does she ask after that? Christopher, do you know what she asks next? So she's right here in the story, who will plant the seed? And everybody says, not I, not I, not I, not I. She says she will then. What does she ask next? Christopher's looking.
Who will cut the wheat?
Who will cut the wheat? Good. So like cut it down, right? So we can put cut wheat question mark. And then PCR again said, no, not I. Yeah, there's kind of a pattern here, huh? And then Lacey, do you know what she asks after that? At the very bottom here.
Who will thresh the wheat?
Who will thresh the wheat? And then Lacey, then on the back side, what's the next question? You see the next one back there?
Who will make the bread?
Right here, this one.
Who will carry the wheat to the milk mill to be ground?
Good. Who will carry the wheat to the mill to be ground? So I'm thinking, because we're going to run out of space here for the problem, I think we can combine that one. What if we say, thresh, question mark, and carry, question mark, and then of course, P, C, R, they all say again, no. I'm squeezing it in. I'm running out of space. I don't know about you guys, but try to squeeze it in if you can. Remember, thresh is that word where they, or she, anybody who's dealing with wheat, you take apart the part of the plant that you don't want and you keep the seeds. That's the part that turns into flour. Okay, so one wheat seed will grow a whole plant and it'll have more seeds on it, right? More little pods. Those are the wheat pods. And you pull those off. So threshing just means like separating it out, okay? Okay, they all say no. This is definitely the problem. We're talking about the problem in the middle of the story here. Everybody's being lazy. Nobody's helping. And the last question, what does she ask Liana after threshing and carrying? What is the next question that she asks?
Who will eat the wheat?
Right before that part. Yeah, that's at the very, very end, but right before that.
Bake?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So who will help bake? bake question mark. And then they all say, no. Nobody's even going to help her bake it. So here's the thing that's going to be tricky about this paragraph, you guys, because it's going to be tempting to make it like repeat a lot of the same words. So try to stay away from the same words, like the hen yelled, "Who will help me plant the seed?" And the pig, the cat, and the rat all said, and then the hen yelled, "Who will da 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 da?" And the pig, the cat, and the rat all said no. So you don't want to do, you got to think creative, okay? And try to change up how you say it. You can say, they can say no one time, or they can say not I another time, or they can say no way, or something different. You know what I mean? Or I don't know how you would spell that. I think it's UH or something. So try to think of changing it up as you write this paragraph. Lacey, did you have something to say?
You can put nope.
Nope. That's a good one. Yep. That's a good one. Nope. How about Olivia? Is that what you were going to say too?
You didn't put PCR on the last one.
I didn't, but we kind of saw the pattern. So if you want to put it in there, you can, or you don't have to, because we pretty much know the pattern on that one. So that's the big problem. Definitely have the big problem going on. Okay, Mariah, did you have something else to say?
Like how obviously no. For the nose.
Oh, obviously no. Obviously no. It's so sassy. Okay, moving on to the third paragraph, because you guys are going to finish this story this week. What happens here at the end? What do we talk about at the end? Mariah.
Climax and resolution.
Good. Yes. Climax and resolution. That word climax. Remember how we talked about like a mountain, like a really sharp mountain at the top there, and there's a guy, and we don't know if he's going to live. Is he going to die? Is he going to win? Is he going to lose? We don't know. It's just up in the air. So it's like here, we know the ending because we already read it. But whenever you give this story to somebody to read for the first time, they might think, oh no, like, how is this hen going to make her bread? Nobody's helping her. Is she going to give up? Is she going to say, forget it? You lazy people, I'm not even going to make bread. Or does she actually make it? And we know the end because we read it already. But that's the climax part. That's where we're at. The reader is like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen next? And then the resolution has that word solution in there. That's how is the problem solved? That's basically what we're going to focus on next. So we're going to put how solved. How is the problem solved? Okay. Well, so she finally bakes this bread, right? But while she's baking, well, she's asking and nobody's helping her bake. What is everybody doing at that time? This is like down here on the, oh wait, no, it's on the back side. And it's right here. What we can talk about each character and what they're doing while she's baking. So what is the cat doing while she's baking this bread? Mariah?
For sleeping.
Sleeping, or it says here the cat sat lazily by. So basically, yeah, he was being lazy and just sitting there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can put C, we'll put a little dash like that. The cat sat and lazy. Let's see. Lacey, what was the pig doing in that paragraph here? I'm at the back toward the bottom there. So I see
The rat came next.
Oh, the rat came next. Oh, you're right. Let's see if Lacey can find it. Lacey, what is the rat doing?
The rat powdered his nose and admired himself in the mirror.
Yeah. The rat is busy looking at himself. That's so silly. I'm going to put R dash and mirror. That'll help us remember. He was just looking at himself in the mirror and he's like, I'm so handsome. I'm just the most handsome rat there ever was in the whole wide world. I'm just going to sit here and stare at myself because I'm just so, so handsome. Oh. Okay. And then the pig. You're right. The pig came next. So, Liana, what was the pig doing at the time?
He was
Right here. And that almost to the bottom.
pig at last was
Right before that part.
that
Right here in the distance.
in the distance could be heard the snores of the
Dozing
pig.
pig. Dozing is just like a little nap, basically. So when you doze, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but sometimes it happens to me, especially at night, if I'm watching a movie and I'm all wrapped up in a blanket and there's a fire in the fireplace and then I just start drifting off to sleep. Has that ever happened to you before? Yeah. Mariah's like, no, I always stay awake. Yeah, sometimes I fall asleep.
We never had a fireplace.
Oh, yeah, well, hopefully someday you'll get to have one. We do up here because it's pretty cold up here in the mountains. So, okay, so we've got the pig next. Let's put P. And he is snoring and dozing. Snoring and dozing. I know that's only 2 words, but I can't think of any others unless we want to add something else about the pig there. That's pretty much all he was doing, right? Snoring and dozing. Then, Christopher, how about you help us with the next part? At the bottom of that paragraph, after we read about the pig, what happened after that? Right here.
At last the delicious odor was wafted upon the autumn breeze.
Good. Remember we talked about wafted? Do you guys remember that word wafted? It's like when something smells really good and it catches the breeze. That's another way to say it. And it blows out the window. Maybe your mom is baking cake or pie or cookies and she's in the kitchen baking, but she has the window open and you're playing outside. And then all of a sudden you're just like, oh my gosh, that smells so good. I got to go inside and have some of the cookies or whatever it is that she's making, right? That's happened before. So wafted just means it's carried on the breeze. It's like the smell is coming out. So I like that word wafted. I think we should try to use that in our paragraph. So we could say smell, comma, wafted, W-A-F-T-E-D, breeze. And that's when everybody smelled it, right?
Yeah.
Yes. We could draw a nose here with a little nostril. That's a nose in case you didn't know. So they're all going, oh man, fresh baked bread. That's one of the best smells on the planet, in my opinion. I don't really bake bread very often, but I've been to people's houses who do bake bread, and man, it smells good. Sometimes I'll make muffins or like cornbread or something like that. Olivia?
We can't eat regular bread because we're all gluten-free.
Oh no. Well, at least there's like special flour that you can use now, right? If you wanted
Yeah.
to. Yeah. But it's probably not quite the same. That's a bummer. Okay, so then she asks one more final question at the end. Who knows what the final question is? Okay, Christopher, what's the final one?
Who will eat the bread?
Who will eat the bread? So, or help eat, right? Let's put help eat. And P, comma, C, comma, R. That's the pig, the cat, and the rat. What do they all say?
I will.
I will. I know we're adding an extra word here, but that's okay because we need to have that in here. I will. It's just the letter I, so we'll count that. And then the clincher. This is what like grips everybody at the end because we're like,
Yeah.
is she going to let them eat the bread? Because that's not right. And she should not let them eat the bread. What is she going to do? So what does she say at the end? Who wants to tell me what she says at the very end? Liana.
No, you will not.
Yes, that's right. No, you will not. So we can put no, and then we could put I will. Or you can put however you want to put that. No, you will not. And then she shared with her chickies, right? I'm going to add that.
Yeah.
I know we're a little bit more than 3 words there. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 technically, but that's okay. Most of the time we want to try to keep it at only 3, okay? But no, I will. And then she shared with her chickies. All right. We made it. So we talked about who the characters are, where they are. They're in the barnyard. We talked about what the problem is. She's desperately trying to make bread. Nobody's helping. And then we get down to here how it's solved. Well, she didn't really solve her problem, really, because sometimes they don't. But she enjoyed some bread and she was like, neener, 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 I'm having bread and you're not. So I guess in a way, she had some satisfaction with that. I'm sure she did. Okay, so let's see, what are we doing next? Let's look at the checklist again. Because remember, and I know I talked to Mariah about this the other day, each one of these is a sentence, okay? So each one you're going to turn into a sentence. So your paragraph, like number 2 right here, you're going to have 1, because that's the topic sentence, the Roman numeral. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences total in that paragraph. Each one of these you're going to turn into a sentence. And then when you get to the 3rd paragraph, each one of these turns into a sentence too. So you're going to have 5 sentences in this paragraph. By the way, I want you to add these paragraphs to the first one. So you're going to, after that, you did this one already last week, you're going to skip a line and then keep going on the 2nd paragraph. Lacey, did you have a question?
Does it have to be 5 sentences?
Yes, for this assignment, yes, it does. If you wanted to add another sentence, you could write 6, but it should mostly only have 5 sentences. Does that make sense, Lacey?
Yes.
Okay, good. I think that's easier for now, just to stick to that. But if you have one more thing you really want to say, you want to add one more sentence, I'd be okay with that. Okay. On the checklist, don't forget these dress ups. And, oh, well, first I should mention, you're going to finish this story. So you're going to be at the final sentence here. That's where you come up with a new title. So don't call your story The Little Red Hen. That's the original. You want to come up with something different. And you can get creative on that. Like the frustrated chicken.
I put the grumpy little red hen.
Okay, there you go. The grumpy little red hen, or the I had just thought of one, determined. The determined hen, little red hen. You could still say little red hen, but you got to add something to that. So it's not exactly like the original. Olivia?
The positive little red hen.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. She did keep it pretty positive, even though she probably was frustrated. And then don't forget these ly adverbs. See if you can find one on your list that you like. Use one of those in each paragraph, and then who or which, and then a strong verb. And then here's where it's going to be tricky, especially say, said, because there's a lot of talking going on in this story. So don't use say or said. You'll have to use something else like we talked about a minute ago. Or go, went. That might be kind of hard too, to think of a different way to use that. Okay, so we have just a little bit of time left. So,
I used utter.
huh?
I'm gonna use utter.
Uttered,
Like,
yeah. Uh-huh. And you can use uttered, and then you'll probably have to think of something else again, so you don't use uttered every single time. But I like that one. That's a good one, Mariah. That'll be good. I want to practice something with you here. So just for practice, because I know some of you are still getting used to this, but let's look at Roman numeral 2. We worked on this today. We have LRH, wanted, wheat, arrow, bread. Who can change that into a complete sentence? Who can use those words and make it a complete sentence? Mariah?
the little red hen wanted to the little red hen wanted to turn the seed into wheat and then bread.
Okay, good. That's a good one. Does anybody have a different sentence? Olivia?
Little red hen wanted to make bread, wanted to plant the wheat seeds so that she could make bread for her and her friends.
Okay, good. I like that too. Anybody have anything different than that? On the back, just for practice, since we have a little extra time, let's make that sentence. And if you like Mariah's sentence, you can write hers. If you like Olivia's, you can write hers. If you have a different one, you can write your own, or you can copy mine. I'm going to go with what Olivia said. She said, the little red hen. So back here, and I'm going to indent just for practice. The little red hen. And then what did you say next, Olivia? Wanted
to turn the wheat seed to make bread, to plant the wheat seed and make bread.
Make sure you skip a line back here. Wanted to plant the wheat seed. How about we say, and make bread with it? Or plant the wheat seed, because there's a lot going on here, right? She's wanting to use the wheat seed to eventually make bread. Oh, we could say that, eventually. You know what? That's a good ly adverb. I didn't even realize that till I said that. And eventually bake some bread. So I kind of used both Mariah's and Olivia's ideas here. And I'm going to underline eventually. This is just practice. So if you want to copy that sentence later on your actual paragraph, you can. The little red hen wanted to plant the wheat seed and eventually bake some bread. That works out because eventually has ly and it's telling about baking. That's actually a verb, so that works. Give me a thumbs up if you wrote that down. Okay, good. Okay, I see that, Christopher. Good, Mariah. Good, Liana. The little red hen wanted to plant the wheat seed and eventually make some bread. Good. Now, the next one. Using this one on number 1, help plant PCR no. Who wants to try to turn that into a complete sentence? See if we get somebody different this time. Either Lacey or Christopher or Liana. How can we use this one? Regular number 1, help plant PCR no. How can we put that? Christopher, you want to try?
Who will help plant the wheat seed?
Okay. PCR no. Let's put that first, though, before we forget. And who's talking, Christopher? Who's asking that question?
The little red hen.
So what could we say instead of said? We could say yelled.
Yell.
Yeah, yelled. What if we put she instead of the little red hen again? Because we already said that. So she yelled. And this is where you put a comma. Remember, the attribution goes first here. So put a comma and then put a quote. Who will help me plant?
You used the who, a who which comes.
Seed. Oh, good question. I mean, good question. However, this is actually a question. It's not a clause. So that's a little different, but I'm glad you brought that up. We did use the word who. Who will help me plant the seed, but that's more of a question. So that is going to have to come in later, I think, when we talk about maybe one of the characters being lazy. You could say something like, the rat who was staring at himself in the mirror said, not I, or something like that. That's a better spot for a who clause. Olivia, did you want to say something?
Yelled is also a strong verb, so that is also on your checklist.
Yes, thank you. Let's underline that. By the way, I understand Lacey's question now earlier, because she was saying, does it have to be just 5? I think we're going to need to make these paragraphs a little bit longer now that I'm writing this with you, because we still have to put that they said no. And that's probably going to be another sentence, right? The pig, the cat, and the rat all shouted, no, not I. The pig, comma, the rat, comma, and the cat all shouted, because we don't want to say said. And then you could put something like, no way, Jose. No way, Jose.
Let's see.
Okay, well, if you like what we have so far right here, you could copy this on yours later. We were just kind of practicing using these in a sentence. So you will have more than 5 sentences to answer your question, Lacey. So don't worry about that. If you have a lot more sentences than 5 for this story, that's okay. You put what you need to make the story work. The most important thing, though, Well, you already know the most important thing is the checklist, right? But you also need to make sure that you follow this pattern here. So you're going to keep going on your outline and keep the same sequence here. Does that make sense? So you guys are going to just write paragraphs 2 and 3, and then don't forget to watch your checklist and do that as you go. Okay, so that's your homework this week. You can keep all of this in the front pocket of your binder until you finish your homework. I mean, that's where it goes, okay? And I think you still have the other one in there from the last story. That's okay. We're going to keep that in there until we're done with that one too. So I think, no, you just have Little Red Hen. Never mind. Okay, so that's it for today. Keep all this in the front pocket until you're done with your homework. And we'll talk a little bit more about it next week, but finish paragraph 2 and 3. And then I will see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. See you next week. Bye, guys.